problems for the children and start there. Have fun with it. If they use just that one sign for a month, that's fine. Then add another one. Just have fun with it. The strategy is fun. I did a workshop in Williamsburg. The very first one that I ever did was in Williamsburg. And I went back for a second time to see how things were going. And a teacher said, do you see the little girl over in the corner with the pink raincoat? There's a just precious little first grade girl wearing a little pink raincoat. She said her father was in yesterday, and he came in and said the hand signs were helping her to learn to read. He said, I am so glad you are using this strategy and she's learning to read. He said, I thought she was going to be like me. Yes. Yes, that is. It makes it worthwhile. And it doesn't work for everybody. Daily, I receive emails from teachers who are saying, I'm experiencing success for the first time. I had one teacher email me recently who said, I will retire from teaching next year. I've been looking forward to retiring, but now for the first time, I wish I could go back and start my career all over because I have the strategy. And that was powerful. I really appreciated that message, but I receive this feedback frequently, and it's rewarding beyond words. The first Tucker sign is the letter E. When we curl the fingers of our left hand, an E magically appears. We can outline the E shape so it's easier for the children to see. The children can shape the letter E. They hold the long E sign at arm's length and say E, so that they can both see, feel, and hear the E sound. The second Tucker sign is the letter M. If we extend our three middle fingers of our left hand, we can see the letter M. We can outline this for the children to see more easily. After making the M shape, the children hold their hands to their lips and make the M sound. If a child were to encounter the word me, M-E, the child would sign the word me and read the word. The next letter is the letter S. When I present the S sign to the children, I begin by drawing a large S shape on the board. The children trace the shape of the S with their left hand while they make the S sound. S. If they were to encounter the word see, S-E-E, they would sign the word see. The next sign is the letter W. If we extend our three fingers upward, we can see the W shape. I outline this with marker for the children. When they make the W shape with their hand, they then hold it to their throats and make the W sound. Ooh. If they were to encounter the word we, W-E, they would sign the word we. The next letter is the letter U. I present the short U sound first as opposed to the long U sound. If we cup our hands, we can see the letter U appear on our hands. And the children make the U shape, and then they put their thumb under their chin and make the U sound. If they were to encounter the word us, U-S, they could sign the word us. The next sign is for the long I sound. We can extend our index finger and see the shape of the letter I. And we can outline the shape for the child to see this more easily. The child would point to his eye and say I, as in the word I. The next sign is for the letter B. I typically draw a large B shape for the children to see. Then I point out to them that if I were to point to this letter, I would encounter the straight line before the circle. So the sign for the letter B becomes a straight line. I can draw the straight line on my hand. And we talk about the fact that this straight line can represent a bat hitting the ball. So the sign for the letter B is ba, 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 ba. later on, when the children learn the sign for the letter D, the sign for the letter D is the circle. So teachers have indicated that this signing helps the children to better differentiate the direction of the letter B from the letter D. If a child were to encounter the word B, the child would sign the word B. The next sign is for the letter N. We can make the N shape with our left hands, and we can outline this shape for the children to see more easily. The children make the N shapes with their left hands, and then they put their hands on their chins and pull down as they make the N sound. If a child were to encounter the word nine, N-I-N-E, the child would need to know the sound and the sign for the letter N, and for the long I. The child would also need to know that the E at the end of the word nine is silent, and the child can sign the silent E by making the E shape with the left hand and covering that shape up with the right hand to remind themselves that it is silent. And the child would then sign the word nine, nine. The next sign is for the letter Z. When I introduce the Z sign for the children, I typically draw a large Z shape on the board. The children trace the shape of the Z with their hands as they make the Z sound. Zzz. If a child were to encounter the word buzz, for example, B-U-Z-Z, the child would sign buzz. The next sign is for the letter R. When I introduce the letter R, I typically draw a large R shape on the board. To make the R sign, the children simply trace the shape of the R with their left hands while making the R sound. A child would sign the word run, R-U-N, for example. Run. The next sign is for the letter P. We can make the P shape with our left hands and outline this with the magic marker so that it is more visible for the children. The children would make the P shape with their left hands and then hold this P shape to their lips while making the sound of the letter P. If a child were to encounter the word up, for example, the child would sign up. The sign for the long O sound is one of the easiest to make. The children simply make an O shape with their left hands. They hold the O shape at arm's length while they look at the sign. They say, O. The word no, N-O, would be signed no. When I introduce the sign for the long A sound, I typically draw the letter A on the board, and I instruct the children to trace the shape of the circular part of the letter A with their left hand while making the long A sound, A, as in the word A. The letter H can be drawn on the left hand. The children make the H shape, and then they hold the shape in front of their lips as they make the H sound. The word high, H-I, for example, would be signed high. The letter Y represents several sounds, so we have several signs for the letter Y. On occasion, the letter Y sounds like a long I. We sign the letter Y by making the Y shape, and when the Y sounds like I, we simply point to the I. The word my, for example, M-Y, would be signed my. When introducing the sign for the letter D, I typically begin by drawing the D shape on the board. I point out to the children that if I were to point to this letter, I would encounter the circle before I would get to the straight line. Therefore, the sign for the letter D is a circle. The children make the circular shape with their left hands. I tell them that they can pretend that this circle is a dog's nose, and the dog is digging, da, 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 da. So the sign for the letter D becomes da, 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 da. If a child were to encounter the word R-I-D-E, for example, I would remind the child that this E is silent, and the word would be signed ride. The next sign is the letter G. We can make the G shape with our left hands by making a fist and drawing the circular part of the letter G around our fists. Then we can draw the bottom part of the G down to our wrists. The children will make the G shape and then hold the G shape to their throats while making the G sound. G, g, g. The word go, G-O, for example, would be signed g, g, go. The sign for the letter J can be made by simply tracing the shape of the J while making the J sound. J, j. The word jump is a fun word to sign. It is signed j, j, jump. The sign for the letter F is made by drawing the F shape on the left hand. The children make the shape of the letter F, and then they hold the shape to their lips while making the F sound. The word fun, F-U-N, for example, would be signed fun. The sign for the letter T is made by pretending to cross the T, as in t, 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 t. The word time, T-I-M-E, would be signed t, I'm. The signs for the short vowel sounds are identical to the signs for the long vowel sounds, except the arm is held so that the arm is short. The sign for the long A is A. The sign for the short A is A. The sign for long E is E. The sign for short E is Eh. The sign for long O is O, so the sign for short O is Ah. The sign for the long I is I, so the sign for short I is I. We would sign the word hat, for example, hat. We would sign the word pet, P-E-T, pet. We would sign the word hot, hot. And we would sign the word it, it. We can make a K with our left hands, and the sign for the letter K can be outlined on the left hand. The children simply extend their fingers so that they can see the K shape, and then to make the K sign, they make a cutting motion. The word kite, for example, would be signed kite. When introducing the sign for the letter C, I begin by reviewing the sign for the letter K. Then I point out that the letter C is actually hiding inside of the K shape, and the C can sound just like the letter K. The word cat would be signed cat. I also explained to the children that the C has two sounds. Sometimes scissors can cut, but scissors can also tear. And the C makes these two sounds, and so the soft C sound is signed. The word ice, for example, would be signed ice. When introducing the sign for the letter L, I typically draw an uppercase L on the board. I use the uppercase because the uppercase L has a more fluid appearance and more closely resembles the sound that the L makes. L. The children make the L sign by tracing the L shape with their left hands while making the L sound. The word like, for example, L-I-K-E, would be signed like. The sign for SH is simply sh. The word she, for example, would be signed she. ER, IR, and UR are all combinations which can spell the sound. So these letter combinations are signed with a spiral shape which represents their sound. The word shirt, for example, would be signed shirt. The TH, both the voiced and the unvoiced sounds, are signed by pretending to touch the tongue, as in th, th. The word this, for example, would be signed this. Even though the ing chunk does not represent a distinct sound, we developed a sign for this chunk because it is encountered so frequently. The ing sign is made by combining the sign for short I, N, and G, done very quickly. Ing, ing, ing. And I'll ask the children to make the sign just as quickly as they can without scratching their faces. So the children will sign ing. The word singing, for example, would be signed singing. The sign for the letter X is made by simply crossing the fingers and making an X shape. The word expert, for example, would be signed expert. The word next, N-E-X-T, would be signed next. I introduced the sign for the long U sound by first reviewing the short U, which is Then I tell the children that this is the one time in their lives that they can point to someone and get by with it. They make the long U sound by beginning with the short U sound, but instead of saying they point to someone as they say you. So the sign for the long U is U. The word mule would be signed mule. The letter Y at the end of a multi-syllable word frequently makes the long E sound, as in the word pony. We sign this by, first of all, drawing the Y on our hand, and then moving from the Y shape to the E sign. As in pony, P-O-N-Y, we would sign this word pony. The OU and OW combinations frequently spell ow. We've signed this combination by shaking our hands and saying ow. The word shower, for example, would be signed shower. The WH sound is signed by forming the W with the left hand and then bringing the hand across the face while the WH sound is made. The word whale, for example, is signed whale. The consonant Y sound is one of the children's favorites, but the teacher's least favorite. It is made by drawing the Y on the left hand and then making the consonant Y sound ya, ya. The word yes, for example, would be signed yes. The sign for CH is made by making the shape of the letter C with the left hand and then moving the hand while making the CH sound. Ch, 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 ch. The word church, for example, would be signed church. I introduced the sign for the AR combination by reminding the children that the sign for IR is and the sign for ER is and the sign for UR is but the sign for AR is R. I have the children practice this without touching their neighbors, and they simply sign R. The word farm, for example, would be signed farm. The OO combination frequently spells the oo sound, as in the word boo. We make the sign by repeating the long O sign and saying ooh. The word boo, for example, would be signed boo. The sign for the letter V is made by forming the V shape with the left hand and then holding the V shape as if one were wearing a vest, which starts with the letter V while making the V sound. The word vest, for example, would be signed vest. The OO combination frequently spells the sound, as in the word look. We form this sign by repeating the short O sign, The word look would be spelled look. The AU-AW word chunk is signed with the left hand by saying all while dropping the hand. All. The word law, for example, would be signed law. When introducing the sign for the TION word chunk, I remind the children first of all that the sign for the letter T is T, as if they're crossing the T. Then I explain to them that when combined with the IO and N, the T does not make the T sound. So they're to sign TION by beginning as if they were to cross the T, but then remembering that TION spells the shun sound. The sign becomes shun, shun. The word motion would be signed motion. Initially, I did not develop a sign for the letter Q, but some children came up with this idea. They suggested that the Q would represent a queen's face. The U could be placed on her head for her crown. The sign for the QU combination would be circling the queen's face, then putting the U on her head while making the QU sound. So the sign became Q. The word queen would be signed queen.